last game I want to get your thoughts on is Michigan, Washington. So somehow Michigan is still the number 10 team in the country. I think that's because it's very hard to come up with the number 10 team in the country. There's a lot
I
of flawed
agree.
teams in that
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, 12 range. Because otherwise you're talking like Clemson or somebody.
Yeah.
But very flawed offensive team. 32 pass yards against USC, 86 pass yards against Minnesota, ranks 130th in yards per pass, very one-dimensional. And Washington is actually favored in this game, 2.5 points as we're recording this. They have a good defense. They've been pretty reliable. There have been some bad penalties. There have been some
Yes.
play calls that have cost them a particular moments this season. You could argue they should be unbeaten if you look at the way that those games ended against Wazoo and Rutgers. So how
Totally
do you
agree.
see this one?
The margins are super thin in this game, right? Because I agree with the idea that we could be looking at an undefeated Washington right now, and we're just not. One thing I do know is Steve Belichick is going to be just like his father when it comes to creating a game plan. We have to cut off the head of the snake. We need to take away the thing that the opposing team does the best. And so, looking at Michigan, it's not even really the run game as a whole. Alex Orji's run numbers have not been crazy. It is Khalil Mullings to me, where
Yeah.
they're going to be like, we got to stop that guy. I think he's phenomenal. Again, another back who is getting the pill in all of the critical situations, and he's made a lot of magic of it. But when I started looking through the Michigan drive charts, because I was curious, like this, they've been outgained, I think, in both of the games against Minnesota and against USC. So their touchdown drive to start the game, they went 9 plays, 79 yards. Their other touchdown drives, though, 3 plays, 16 yards, and 1 play, 11 yards. So they got the ball in a short field. Their field goal drive was 14 plays, 58 yards, but they couldn't punch it into the end zone. They had 1, 2, 3, 4 3-and-outs, and one of those drives they went backwards. The other one of those drives of the 4, they only gained a yard. Go to the USC thing. I know this is taking a long time, but I'm trying to make a point here. So touchdown drive, they went 5 plays, 63 yards. Another touchdown drive, 6 plays, 80 yards. Last touchdown drive, they went 10 plays, 89 yards. So when they can sustain, they're moving the ball, they're scoring points. Outside of that, they had 3 and out, 3 for 8 yards, a 3 for -1, a 3 for 7, a 3 for 1, and a 3 for -4. There were 2 drives where they went 3 plays and went backwards and had to punt the football, right? And so for me, like, they are super inconsistent. Even like there have been times where they move the ball, they've done a great job. Outside of that, it's a question of if they're going to be on the field for an extended period of time. My point being, their defense in those second half of games, they've let teams back in. They're playing a lot of reps right now. And last year, they rolled guys. Last year, they had depth. Last year, their offense could sustain. That's the biggest thing for me, is if they get into another one of these games where they got to play 70-plus reps, it could be icky for them. 2.5, it feels real with the top 10 team, but like I've got a feeling that Washington's going to have a way to win this one.
Yeah, I completely agree, by the way, about the second halves. Like, we have seen the defense get scored on, or offenses figuring out what Wink Martindale and crew are doing, and maybe not adjusting back to what they're adjusting to you. But also it's just like, it's a strange system, right? Because it's not the same like quorum, like, we can just do this and we know that we will eat clock. We know we will sustain the drives. So you're putting people in a different situation. And obviously you've got a totally different personnel. They finally did realize that Khalil Mullings is RB1. Took a
Yes.
couple weeks to get there. But yeah, it's a different world with this personnel, this coaching staff, and a quarterback that isn't going to throw the ball, because I just don't know that Michigan can blow anybody out. So when you look at
No.
any possible opponent, and we saw this with Minnesota, we saw this with USC, people can come back on them because they can't continue to pull away without a pass game, I think.
I agree with you. And the one thing I do want to note about the pass game for Michigan is when they've dropped back with Orji, he has one speed throwing the football. He has one speed. And the one time he tried to throw an off-speed ball was that deep shot he took to Colston Loveland, and that one got picked off, right? Like, it's a real struggle for them to try to throw the football at this point.